What's up? Happy Friday to all the listeners out there. I'm Kyle. I'm joined by Keenan. Keenan, what's up? How you doing?
Happy Friday. How's everyone out there? Doing good.
So today we're going to start with sad news. So last night, Celtics great John Havlicek passed away at the age of 79. And the reason why I want to start there was because it's interesting to me after looking at his resume. Let me ask you this, Keenan, because you're 21, about to be 22.
Mm-hmm.
Big NBA fan.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, doing this podcast. What do you know about John Havlicek before I get into his accolades? What do you know about him in general, just being an NBA fan?
I know that, one, he's a Celtic great,
Yep.
Hondo.
Mm-hmm.
Number 17,
Mm-hmm.
I know just from looking up a little bit, he's an 8-time champion, played 16 seasons. But other than that, I don't know too much.
So from what I've heard in the past and reading up on him and hearing more about him last night, but even the little I heard about him, because obviously it was well before my time, and you just don't, my point about all this is you don't really hear about him much. Mm-hmm. And as you said, he's an 8-time champion.
Mm-hmm.
We hear about Bill Russell, who's an 11-time champion. Clearly,
Yep.
Havlicek was a teammate. We hear about Kuzi. Do you agree with me that we hear about Kuzi more than Havlicek?
Mm-hmm. We even hear about Tommy Heinsohn just because he's the announcer.
He's
but
drunk
yeah,
all the time. But yeah, no, we hear that's true. We do hear about Tommy a little more than Havlicek. It seems obviously his iconic play is Havlicek stole the ball in the finals.
Havlicek
I believe
steals it. Havlicek steals the ball.
So he's an 8-time champion. He's the Celtics all-time leader in points scored. So on top of that, hold on, let me get his accolades up.
I know offhand also he was the Finals MVP in 1974.
Yep. So right here we got 8-time champion, Finals MVP in 74, 13-time All-Star, 11-time All-NBA, 4 times first team, 7 times second team, 5 times All-Defense first teams, 3-time second team All-Defense, All-Rookie team, consensus best 6-man ever. So I've heard, you know, I guess they revolutionized the position. The Celtics did, obviously, throughout Kevin McHale's career and such. But I guess Havlicek kind of started that. But interesting to me, as I read those accolades off, that's
an all-time.
That's about as decorated as a Kobe Bryant career. But we do not hear about Havlicek, and that's interesting to me. And what I hear about Havlicek a lot, what made him unique was, I guess, his stamina. Mm-hmm. I believe, I'm not sure where he is on the all-time games played list, but he's up there. I'd have to look.
Yeah.
But what I've heard about him a lot was how he could play through injury, how it was abnormal, how tough of injuries he could play through, how just his stamina, how many minutes he could play, how the games, he could endure a lot, which in itself is an athletic feat, and he was a good athlete himself. He was actually drafted by the Cleveland Browns. They cut him, and that propelled his career in the NBA.
I actually did not know that at all.
Learned that last night as well. So, rest in peace to the great John Havlicek. The NBA lost a great one. Take this time, if you're an NBA fan, maybe take this time to find some more out. I know I certainly will. But that's what I was left with last night when he passed away during the Spurs Nuggets game. And they kind of had the TNT crew kind of had a brief, review about his career and such and such. And when they were going through the accolades, I was like, damn, that's a type of resume that usually is always just brought up when you talk about the Jordans, the Kareems, the Shaq, all these guys who are on a one-name basis. Usually that's the type of resume they have, and you do not hear Havlicek brought up. And I just think it's interesting, and I haven't really gotten interesting as to why that is, but it's interesting.
I'm gonna say just because
about Jerry West more. Sorry not to cut you off, but you hear about Jerry West even more than him, and he's a 2-time champion.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, Jerry's the logo for Mr. Clutch, but yeah, I feel because Hondo was not part of that upper echelon when it comes to just players. Mm-hmm. His resume speaks for itself, but just players
He wasn't the best player on his team type thing.
Yeah, you remember Bill Russell, you remember Wilt, Elgin Baylor, Jerry West, Oscar Robertson, people of those names you remember more, Walt Frazier, from that era. And I'm thinking because he's not part of that first era, or first level of people from that era, and since that era is kind of forgotten due to the fact that most of it, if not 98% of the people who watch basketball weren't alive during it, so you just don't hear the name as much. But
it's interesting, yeah.
It's definitely someone that you should go pay respect to. Go watch any of his highlights that you can find on YouTube. Go read about him. Go see different things about him.
Might not be exciting, but what you can find, if you like look up older player, you can just kind of see the lineage of like what maybe the next player that patented their game after him. You can kind of see the influence through that.
Kind of like a Bob Cousy to Pistol Pete to Magic, like how everything kind of goes down the
Steph,
line.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, rest in peace to him. And actually, I misspoke. Jerry West actually a one-time champion, not a two-time champion. So my fault. But moving forward on some
lighter news.
On some lighter news. I believe was it Monday night or Tuesday night?
Tuesday night.
Tuesday night. If you didn't see it, Dame Lillard, 50-piece. OKC Thunder, game-winning shot, 37 feet away. Step back over Paul George, one of the best defenders of the game. Iced the series. One of the most insane moments I've ever seen in the playoffs, and I've seen a lot of games. That was crazy. Keen, your thoughts on it?
Sadly, I fell asleep during the game. Didn't get to see the shot live, but when I woke up in the morning and I was like,
you read the papers?
Wait a sec. The papers. When I woke up in the morning, I get an update, Bleacher Report, NBA, because all of them posted, saying Twitter's going crazy. I'm curious. I go to the game highlights. I see Damian Lillard has a game winner. I was like, okay. I see that shot, and I'm like, only him and Steph shoot that, and people are okay with it. And the thing that got me the most was, it looked like he was looking for shooting it from 37. Like, he wasn't even interested in getting closer to the basket. He was like, I know where I am. I know my range. I dropped 47 up to this point. I was 9 of 17 up to that point. I'm going to just hit it in Paul George's eye, wave him goodbye, and walk off.
Nuts. So to recap the last roughly a minute, we go... Paul George gets a bucket, mid-range jump shot, puts OKC up 2. Timeout Blazers. Blazers come back, Lillard goes straight to the rim, arguably got fouled, gets a bucket. Tie game. Westbrook goes down, bleeds the clock, attacks the rim, rims out a contact layup, you could say. Lillard comes back and does his thing, like you said, 37-footer, waved bye-bye to the Thunder, which was the best part of all that, and just mean-mugged the camera after.
I was about to
giving
say,
us endless meme material for the playoffs and beyond. So
my favorite part of that whole thing, I think, was Lillard's face afterwards, just because
he's like, y'all know what I do.
He gave the look of, I expected to do this, I'm going to do this, bye, get out of here. Did you listen to his interview or his press conference afterwards?
Which part? Yeah, I heard
the part where he's talking about like Schroeder and everything, where like in game, because he was talking like, oh, okay, so in game 3, Schroeder, after hitting threes, he was like pointing to his wrist, saying like it's Dame time, quote unquote. And then they were thinking to themselves, or he said they were thinking to themselves, we're just gonna keep our composure, we're gonna go do it, because he was explaining the reason why he waved goodbye, and was just like, I waved goodbye because we got what we wanted. We wanted 4 games. We got 4 games, and I'll see you guys later.
It's killer. Could be the makings of a postseason legend. It could be a legendary run. Reminds me of Steph. Really, that first year they kind of broke out. That that year where I think they faced the Nuggets in the first round, got the Spurs in the second round. They lost the Spurs, but he really asserted himself as a superstar. That's kind of what. Yeah. It seems like Lillard's doing here.
He had the 22-point third quarter, and then he had 44 against the Spurs in game 1, and that double overtime thriller they had.
Yeah. But
quick question for you. Yeah. He did for me, and I think he did for a lot of people. Did Damian Lillard cement himself as a top 10 player in the NBA?
Has to.
Okay.
Has to.
Because before, people are on the fringe. Like, if you would have asked before the series, people would have been like, oh, he's there. Paul George, Westbrook, got people depending on your list like Jokic or whoever, but for
he's
me,
one of those
he
on the
solidified
outside,
himself.
But yeah, he's for sure in there.
For me, top 3-point guard in the league.
Second team All NBA this year too, so definitely top 10. On the other side of that, first of all, Paul George and Westbrook. Yeah, this was a 4-1 series. It ended in 5. Paul George and Westbrook played great that game. And yeah, like I said, Westbrook missed that last shot. Wasn't the greatest shot, but wasn't a bad shot either. He got to the rim, kind of rimmed out.
Tough one, but it's a Westbrook shot.
Tough one. And they're going to be tough at the end of the game like that. But the criticism he got in between the series was completely fair. Any criticism after that game, I don't think is fair. He went cold at one stretch in the third quarter. He did back up because he's Westbrook. Apparently, he really anchored their mini comeback, and they extended their lead to 15 in the fourth. That's what was so incredible about this game was they had a 15-point lead with about 8 minutes to go, and then with 3 minutes to go, they still had an 8-point lead. Schroeder was killing them. Westbrook was doing his thing. Paul George, like I said, played a great game, and I guess my point is, even though they went down fighting, I think it would be kind of lazy to put this whole series on Westbrook, because I don't think through games 1 through 4, before that, I don't think Paul George was necessarily playing up to his MVP candidate standards. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you'll probably hear a lot this offseason, and you already have this week, like how terrible Westbrook was and this and that, and he definitely deserves some blame, but I don't think he deserves the blame he's gonna get, because I don't think if your best player, which we've heard all year is that Paul George is their best player, if he's not performing up to standards, that's not completely on Westbrook, right?
No, it's not completely on Westbrook. I also think Westbrook's going to take a little bit more slack due to the fact of how his press conference after Game 4 and Game 5. And then also Paul George to be the same thing. I mean, he just kept repeating it was a bad shot.
Yeah.
He's Lillard's 4 of 6 from 30 feet out. And whatever, if bad shot or not bad shot, he drilled it in your eye.
He's going to take that out.
He drilled it in your eye. It doesn't really matter. You're going home. Play golf.
You brought up a good point about Westbrook and how he treats the media. To some degree, that makes me kind of double back. Like, kind of deserves a criticism then. Like, obviously, they probably will come at you a little harder than, than Paul George even. If you're treating the media like that, or Steph. But, yeah, if you're treating the media like that when you don't have a good game or you don't have a good series, then that heat's gonna come a little harder. Ask Kevin Durant. You know what I mean? He complains about it, but what are you gonna do? I mean, that's their jobs. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think the narrative about this whole series was just on Westbrook. That would be lazy. But yeah, criticism isn't apropos, but it also is because if you're gonna be a dick, hey.
Fair enough.
Yeah, exactly. So tying that into the Blazers will get the winner of the Nuggets and Spurs.
Game 6 last night. Jokic put up 43, 12, and 9 in a loss. Lost 120 to 103. Spurs just took care of business.
Yeah, it's an interesting game. It wasn't necessarily a hugely entertaining game. The Spurs really did their thing. Turnovers on both sides. It was really, it's going to sound simple, but it was really the Spurs were making their shots and the Nuggets really weren't making their shots. Jokic played great. I originally, when we predicted this series, I think I said Nuggets in 7. You said Spurs in 6, I believe.
Yes.
I think tomorrow, that's what I think. I think either the Nuggets are going to use their talent and just blow the Spurs out tomorrow, or the Spurs are going to win ugly tomorrow. There's no in between. No in between. The Spurs are either going to win ugly. The Nuggets' young players are just going to freeze up. Spurs win by like 10 in a defensive game. Or the Nuggets are just going to be the Nuggets and just kind of fly up the court on them, get some threes, run through Jokic. Jokic's going to have another 4-3, 10-9 game type thing. It's one of those two. I do not see it being a down to the wire game. I don't know. That's just my feeling. Either the Spurs veteran leadership's really going to show here, or their playoff battles are going to show with Pop, with DeRozan, with Aldridge, with even their bench with Patty Mills and Bellinelli. The list goes on.
Derek White's been playing very well.
Derek White's been playing well, yeah. And then I think on the Nuggets side, if their talent doesn't carry over, I think the Spurs are kind of gonna do the little things to get them over the top. So I do not see a close game. I see either a blowout by the Nuggets or an ugly win by the Spurs. Yeah, that's my analysis.
I personally see a close Spurs win.
Yeah,
but I think this game will come down to Jamal Murray. If Jamal Murray, because Jamal Murray's that second guy, and if Jamal Murray comes, because he's been hot or cold, he's been hit or miss. If he comes in and he's playing a consistent game because he brings that fire, that passion, that energy, if he can do that, then I think the Nuggets can win this game and probably will. But Derek White's been outplaying him in this series, and I still think that will be the case. Greg Popovich will come up with something crazy. He always does. He'll come up with some cool thing to stop Jokic, or he's going to try to let Jokic just go off again points-wise, kind of like what the Hawks did against Dwight Howard.
Yeah, a few years ago.
I'm going to just let him score, just protect the three-point line, and just let Jokic get... If Jokic gets 50, he gets 50, but as long as he's not dishing out to others, he may try to go something on that route.
I think Jokic, he's talented enough to where I think he's going to find players anyway. He's going to... I think he's going to do what he needs to do. He's not going to shrink. I think it's really up to the other guys. I think Jokic's going to bring it. I think the Spurs will definitely bring it. I think Aldridge and DeRozan are going to have good games. It's going to be up to the White... Because the role players are going to bring it, I think, on the road. Maybe not to the degree they would at home, because it's kind of how the playoffs work. But I think that's maybe what gets the Spurs over the edge if they do. But I anticipate Jokic going off. I think, that's one of the toughest places to play in all of the league in Denver. I think that place is going to be rocking. I think Jokic's going to go off. Jamal Murray, I think they're going to give good production from their guards like Monte Morris, Malik Beasley, Gary Harris. We haven't even mentioned Paul Millsap yet. They got but they're a very deep team. They're well coached. They should win against the Spurs tomorrow. I think it's been taking their playoff licks, so to speak, and I think they get through the second round, and I think Denver-Portland would be a very fun series. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think Jokic breaks out in a way he hasn't really broke out yet, maybe in the second round. Might not be necessarily to winning results, but I think stats-wise and his style of play, because he's one of the most fun players to watch in the league, especially at the 5, so that's my prediction.
Quick question.
Sure.
Is he the best 5 in the league, or you got Embiid?
No. I would have Embiid.
Okay. Some people kind of put him in that conversation as best, so
he's in the conversation, but I mean, Embiid's two-way. Embiid's is different. Jokic is definitely up there as far as bigs. Defense is lacking.
I agree personally too.
Yeah.
I think Embiid's better, but I was just curious.
Yeah, no, I'd go Embiid on that one. But yeah.
So the other series tonight, we got Golden State, we got the Clippers.
Game 6.
Game 5
in LA.
Game 5, as the whole world expected after the Rockets won 193 in a kind of ugly game. Harden didn't go off too much, but people are like, okay.
Yeah, Jazz kind of choked that one away.
Yeah. People are like, okay, Rockets won. Golden State saw that. They're going to take care of business. They're going to go win.
Lou Will
had other ideas. Patrick Beverley had like 13 rebounds. He was being an animal. Durant had 45, but it just wasn't enough.
What's your prediction for tonight?
I think now the Warriors are I feel like they get really complacent, and I now feel they have to be awake because they can't. If they go 7 with the Clippers, Houston and people like that are going to be licking their chops. They need to come out, and I feel like they'll win by 20.
See, I don't even think it's complacent. I think, first of all, the Clippers are giving them legit problems. Like they're kind of scoring whatever they want, really.
Yeah,
especially
defensively is the problem. Offensively, they still scored 121. Exactly. That's not a problem.
Exactly, and that's kind of the thing. If Steph and Durant go off, it really doesn't really matter what you get from those other guys, especially if you're playing defense. That's the key. If they're not playing defense, and as Steven texted me right before this, interesting how they've won twice on the road and not at home.
Yeah.
I mean, those Clipper home games are somewhat also like Warrior home games too, because they obviously travel well. It's not a far trip. But very interesting. I would have expected a fight in Game 5, but I was not expecting a win from the Clippers.
Neither was I.
And I wasn't necessarily one who'd be shocked that it went to 6, but 2 on the road, that's something. Doc's done a great job with this team. But
what's also interesting to me about this series, and what will be interesting for further series, I've heard other people comment on it as well, is Steph getting in foul trouble, and getting in foul trouble early. So if I'm the Rockets now, the way Steph's been reaching in, he's been playing hard defense.
Right.
Not the greatest, but he's been playing hard defense. He always does. But he tries to go with quick hands, quick steals. He'll put a little bit of body into him because he needs to get his own defensive edge.
Right.
I see the Rockets now because they'll have Curry on, not Harden and not maybe Chris Paul, all depending on the matchup. But they're going to try to put Curry in pick and roll and get Curry on Harden. I can see that. They try it anyways, but I could just see that the whole entire time. And I think that Curry's going to have to just play very smart defense, because if he goes out early against the Rockets, that's very big problems.
I can't see that happening. Not because of him. Because of him. He's a smart player. He's not going to get himself too much in foul trouble, I don't see, in the next round. But I don't think the refs will really look for that either. You know what I mean? They're kind of going to let him get away.
I agree. I'm just saying, if I'm the Warriors, I'm a little concerned. And if I'm the Rockets, I'm looking at that okay, we get Steph out of this game. They run solely through.
Attack.
I was gonna say they solely run through Kevin Durant. Then we have them even more where we want them.
They're gonna attack. And what it's gonna turn into, what you saw, again, providing that the Warriors win, you're gonna see a lot of ISO ball in that series. If that's the case, we won't even touch on that because you never know what the Clippers might do tonight. Because we've seen crazier things happen in the league. One thing I'll say, and I don't remember if we brought this up in the last podcast. Forgive me if we did. But Steven and I were talking this past weekend. Refs seem to be letting a lot of the chippiness go.
We talked about it a little bit in the Blazers Thunder, but we haven't talked about overall.
Because in general, it seems like they're just letting things go, which I like. They're still giving away the petty double technical every once in a while, which is cool. Are we in junior high? They still do that, but they're not doing it as much. And they're doing it. I'm seeing them give that out after the game's gotten chippy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So they're not doing it early, which is cool. It's really getting a playoff atmosphere out of it, and it's even better because the next round could be some real heavyweights. Definitely in the East, we got the heavyweights. In the West, providing the Warriors go through, we get Warriors Rockets. That's definitely good. That's going to be.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great, yeah. If that's what we get, obviously.
The double technical thing, you're completely correct in everything you're saying, and I love it because I love physical basketball. I love talking who has the edge and everything. Obviously, I don't need to see Kevin McHale, Kurt Rambis. I don't need to see Dr. J punching out Larry Bird. I don't need to see that, but I like to see people talk back and forth. So it makes me mad when
it's fun to see Westbrook and Lillard talk their shit like that. That's part of the game. That's what it is on every other court in America. That's what it should be. In the NBA, you got to let them talk. You got to let them do their thing.
That's what people want to see.
That's what we want to see. Exactly. That's what makes the playoffs great. Those little moments.
I would much rather see Kevin Durant and James Harden face to face getting into it, presuming next round, compared to after James Harden makes a good shot, Kevin Durant gets him a fist bump. Good job, James. Not that they do that, but I want to see that competitive edge because that's what sports is how can you compete against other people and how can you overcome whatever they're throwing at you. Mm-hmm. I'm intrigued to see tonight. I'm hoping for the next round's sake that the Warriors win tonight, get a little rested, and then on Sunday we can get the Warriors-Rockets game 1. It's my hope.
I would agree with you there. So personally, I would like to see this go 7. providing that there's no injuries on either side. I would like to see it go 7, or an entertaining Game 6 with the Warriors win. I have no rooting interest, but wouldn't mind seeing the Clippers win tonight for sure. What else we got?
Tomorrow we got the start of the second round. We got Sixers heading over out of the country to Toronto. That's going to be a fun series. That series could come down to Embiid off purely health-wise.
Could.
I'm really intrigued to go see what happens with that series. That one is going to be a fun series of just talent all over the floor.
Yes, so we got the core 4 of the 76ers. Simmons, Butler, Embiid, Tobias Harris. Going up against really Kawhi. I'm not saying that's a one-man team, but I'm saying as far as star power, you have Kawhi, playoff Lowry,
playoff
whatever that
Warner.
is. Yeah, playoff Kyle, Pascal Siakam. They got a deeper team than Philly.
They got
well coached.
They got a lot of players.
Arguably the best player in this series, whether you want to say Kawhi, whether you want to say Embiid, it's kind of neck and neck. I am very interested because I think Toronto, Game 1, they are going to hound Simmons. Between Kawhi, between Danny Green, between Pascal Siakam, between whoever else. They got a lot of bodies to throw at him. They got size to throw at Embiid. They got Gasol. They have Ibaka. They have... Who else they have in their big rotation?
I was going to say, they really just... Siakam, Ibaka, Gasol, they kind of go down on a...
I feel like I'm missing someone there at the 5, but yeah, Gasol will be someone that's... No, he's on the Spurs.
Oh, yeah, he got traded. Sorry.
He's in that trade. I don't know, but it'll be good to throw Marc Gasol at Embiid for those, those really just banging the low post. But I see this going 7 games. I actually have Philly in 7 games. I think, and if you would have asked me all throughout the year, I probably would have said Toronto. I probably would have said Toronto most of the year, but I like the way Philly's playing. They're really starting to figure out the pecking order. They're really starting to figure out, like Jimmy's kind of honing it in on defense, taking shots when he needs, so he's not trying to do too much. Simmons, as you can see, can take it up another level. That's really, to me, you said Embiid. I think this series lies with Simmons. If you get good production out of Simmons, I don't think the Raptors really have an answer for all 4 of those guys. Providing, let's say, Tobias plays pretty good. If Tobias and Jimmy play the way they did last series and Ben Simmons is the same or another level up, and like you said, providing Embiid's healthy, I could see them winning. But yeah, it's going to come down to Embiid's health and what kind of series we got out of Simmons, because we saw last year Simmons was kind of up and down, even in the first round.
Same on the other side with that point guard too. The series for the Raptors is going to come down to Kyle Lowry. They need him to play like all-star Kyle Lowry and not play like...
And it's going to sound really simple, but to some degree, Lowry's obviously more skilled than Ben Simmons. Like, he's got more parts to his game than Ben Simmons, but it really does matter that Ben Simmons is 6'10 and Kyle Lowry's 6'2", 6'3", 6'1", I believe, actually. So he's a smaller guard. And Simmons is a 6'10 point guard. Even if he's not performing, having another 6'10 athlete on the floor who can run and defend, that matters,
It does.
So if Lowry's having one of those off games, it really might not even matter. As long as Simmons is dishing the ball and getting you good defense, rebounding, it really might not even matter.
You're correct on that. I don't even know with Kyle Lowry anymore. I really don't.
So we'll see. Like if Lowry can be
human,
even like right below an all-star player, like 15 and 7, good defense. If he can give you that, this should be a 7-game series. Should be a 7-game series just off that and off Siakam just continuing to elevate his game.
All year, I've thought the Raptors were the best team in the East. maybe not talent-wise, but they were playing to me like the best team in the East, even though the Bucks...
Well, they do have the talent. That's the thing. They have the talent. They have the...
Yeah. Oh, they
depth.
do. I'm just saying talent-wise, I think the Celtics are a little bit more talented. I'm just saying they're not the best talented-wise, but I thought they were the best with talent, plus with their coaching, plus they have one of the most proven players in the playoffs on the Eastern side. I mean,
champion.
Kyrie, Kawhi, both of them have been there. Both of them both have been to the finals and won. But it's hard for me because if Kyle Lowry plays how Kyle Lowry plays, I think the Raptors win. The series comes down to Kyle Lowry. If he plays well, they win. If he doesn't play well, then they lose. That's my personal thought. And I feel...
What do you think we get from their backcourt between Simmons and Butler? What do you think we get from that backcourt in this series, from what you've seen?
I have no reason to believe that Simmons will... I don't think he'll back down to the challenge. I really like Simmons. I'm a very big Simmons supporter. And Jimmy Butler's scared of zero people in the world. So he's going to go at it. Even if Jimmy Butler offensively is not playing the greatest, he will do a good job on Kawhi. Kawhi will get his. It's Kawhi. But Jimmy Butler is definitely a person you can throw at Kawhi and give him some problems.
Especially in crunch time.
Yes. So defensively, I see zero holes for them. Offensively, the only hole I see really is the aggressiveness of Ben Simmons. It's not even how he's playing, it's just how aggressive he is. But I think that backcourt would be very good.
It's fair. You mentioned the Celtics. We have Celtics-Bucks game 1, 1 o'clock Sunday. Celtics at Milwaukee.
Al Horford has done a good job on Giannis. You
By the
think
way,
it stays?
Did I get your official prediction on Sixers-Raptors?
We didn't get an official one because I was being wishy-washy with Kyle Lowry. I'm going to stick to what I think, and I have the Raptors in 7.
Okay, so we each got to go in 7. I got Philly by a nose. You got the Raptors. All right. So, Celtics. Let me get this out of the way. Tough opponent. Possible league MVP in Giannis Antetokounmpo.
My league MVP. Yours as well.
Sure. Had zero challenge in Detroit. By the way, I want to shout out Blake Griffin. He was on one leg.
He's having surgery.
Is he getting surgery?
Yeah, I saw an update that he was getting surgery on his knee over the summer. He should be back for off-season training camp, so he should be fine. But yeah, some cleanup procedure or whatever.
I mean, you see what the game means to him when he's first of all in a city that he definitely did not want to get traded from fucking LA to Detroit,
Motor City,
and You haven't really heard much about the Pistons. You saw that Blake's had a great season. He was arguably a top 10 player this year.
Oh, yeah.
Or inarguably, really. And you see him go out there and gut it out on one leg.
You could just tell that his leg was such a bother because
he's kind of dragging it.
He had a dunk where normally Blake, he 2-step off the left, and you could just tell normally he's eye to eye with the rim, and he was like, his head was like the bottom of the net. It felt like he barely got up just to dunk it. And you're like, that's not Blake Griffin.
Yeah, and you hear a lot about him and how he's soft and this and that, and he really kind of disproved that. Not that I never thought he was soft necessarily, but he really showed his competitiveness, really showed his leadership by going out there, because he absolutely did not have to go out there and play. I mean, they were going to get swept anyway.
They were not winning the series. It made zero difference if he was out there.
So it'll be very interesting to see what happens with him with the Pistons next year, whether he gets traded, whatever happens. It'll be interesting to see how his career goes, because he's definitely improved. He's definitely, as his athleticism has kind of gone down, he's raised his game.
He's one of the top 3 most talented, skilled bigs in the league. With everything he can do, shooting, dribbling, passing. he can do anything as a big.
Well-rounded. So back to the Celtics and the Bucks. It's Malcolm Brogdon. I haven't checked this. Is he confirmed to come back for Game 1 yet?
No, he's out for Game 1 and 2, and they're reevaluating him after Game 2.
Damn, I didn't even know that. So, just want to give an update. Marcus Smart, who tore his oblique. Mm-hmm. He's getting shots up at the gym. He's on the treadmill running, so we could see him. I don't think we'll see him Sunday, but it would not surprise me if we saw him Sunday. Let's just say that dude's made of something else. I don't know. My prediction is he'll be back in this series, even though he's supposed to be back in the conference finals. If we made it there, I think we see him around the same time we see Brogdon.
Yeah.
Maybe game 4, game 5. What are your predictions on this series before I get to my predictions?
I'll give you the floor in a minute. I liked what Gordon Hayward was doing at the end of last series, and I think with him starting to find his legs again, because as like Paul George, when he had his horrific leg injury, he came in at the end of that year, but it took him a while. It took him
really like the full next year to really.
Yeah, I was gonna say it took him a while to get back into it, as a lot of people with that injury, because you first have to trust your legs again, then you got to get back into shape, get the strength back.
People
there.
act like he didn't shatter his leg.
Yeah, so I wasn't expecting. I expect Gordon Hayward to get back to about peak level Gordon Hayward play wise, but it won't happen this year. It'll be more so next year. But the way he's starting to play, I feel the Celtics have a slight edge if he's playing like Gordon Hayward can.
Yeah, so Hayward, he's been for, I would say, at least the last month, really playing without care. And really what I mean by that is without fear. He's going to the rim without really trying to shy away from contact. He's going at the chest. He's going to dunk in traffic.
He's had a couple dunks in traffic where you're like, okay, that's 2016 Gordon Hayward.
Even when his stat line isn't, even if his stat line's not great, what we're getting out of him is he's competing on defense. He's attacking on the offensive end. He's getting the ball and pushing. He's not even looking for his teammates. Like when he's getting the ball off a rebound, he's getting the ball pushing up the floor, which is why we brought him there. So we could kind of use him as a point forward, as you used to call him. He's like mini LeBron.
He really is.
That's a little bit of a stretch, but yeah, he does have some point forward in him for sure.
He's the white mini LeBron, which just means he's the better shooting version of LeBron.
Might be. But between that, like you said, that alone, like you said exactly, that gives him an edge. If Hayward's at all close to an all-star level player, that's basically him taking, like Marcus Morris's minutes, which I hope we don't see too much of him, but we probably will see more Marcus Morris than I want to see in this series. He was up and down last series.
They'll use him on Giannis to give Horford breaks, to give maybe Jason Tatum breaks.
Actually, let me rephrase that. Marcus Morris, he's not bothering me because he did play. The games when he played well in the last series, he played very well, right? I want to see, like, if we get Marcus Smart back this series, that's when I want Morris's minutes to go down. They should all go to Hayward, Smart, Rose. Like, play Marcus Morris 10 minutes a game if you want. But
do you think Marcus Smart's going to try to take Giannis ever?
For a couple possessions. He'll ask for it, but in general,
I was just thinking about it because, like, Pat Bev he's taking Kevin Durant.
I could see him wanting to, but what's he going to do? Like, yeah, sure, compete. Yeah. Like, he's my favorite player on that whole team. Love him. Love how competitive he is. He's a dog, but, I mean,
if there's any small guard, I mean, he would be the one just because he has the stature, but it's Giannis, so no.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll stick with Semi Ojeleye on him, and because he's the Giannis stopper, and we'll probably win it. We'll probably sweep if we have Semi on him.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Obviously,
I'm sure Giannis can't get. Giannis is not the best player in the world if he can't get you one. He's not the best player in the world if he can't get you one with a 60-win team.
So, my actual predictions on this series. Yeah, as Keenan noted, Hayward is rounding into form. This team itself has been rounding into form for the last month. They are not scared of Milwaukee. Obviously, Milwaukee's not scared of us. Where I think it comes down is, and I mentioned this before, is our playoff experience. All of our young guys, whether they're 25, 26, they're really more seasoned than that. When you get deep playoff runs, even someone like Jason Tatum, that brought this up before. Him and Jalen, the experience they've had, especially Jaylen Brown.
They've had as much playoff experience pretty much as Giannis.
But more.
Yeah, it was even more deeper rounds. But I'm saying, like, games-wise, they're pretty much the same place Giannis is, but they've played even deeper.
And I think that's going to come into play because Jalen's playing he's been playing well since the All-Star break at just about an All-Star level. I think him, and you can see Tatum, really just the game's coming easier to him. He's not pressing as much in the season. Long story short, I think we throw some zone at Giannis. I think Giannis will have 2 games. Actually, the whole series he's going to go off. We're not going to stop Giannis. Giannis is going to do his thing the whole series. I think they get 2 wins. I think we win in 6. I think the Bucks win game 1. I think the Bucks overwhelm us in game 1. I think we start to figure it out towards the end. Bucks win 8-point game maybe. And I think we take the control of the series after that. I think we win on the road, and then after that we'll see.
I actually have Celtics in 6 as well. I've one game this series. Kyrie's going for at least 40 plus.
See, I think Kyrie.
At least.
I think Kyrie.
Not that that's that bold of a statement, but I think he's going at least 40 plus, maybe in a game. I could see it in game 5. On the road, like he did against Golden State game 5, put up 41 with Bronny.
You talk about complacent. I think we were complacent last round with the Pacers, and we would just turn it up literally in the 4th.
Well, when Bojan Bogdanovic is the best player on the floor for you, I mean, you feel, as the Celtics, you feel you have 4 players better than their best player. So
I could be wrong. I mean, it could be. There's part of that where the Pacers really were playing good defense, but it seemed like when we wanted to, we really kind of turned it up and took it to another level.
Kyrie did. Yeah. Especially, it really sometimes surprises me with Kyrie, because I feel like every single possession he could go get a bucket, but then he just, for half the game, not that he's not trying, but he just lets his teammates go, and then he's like, oh, we're down 6, let me go on a 9-0 run myself, and things like that.
Yeah, he didn't play well in game 4 at all, and we kind of just walked away with a victory, and that's really what this team was supposed to be, is that you're so deep that, you know, if Jason Tatum has a bad game, if Kyrie has a bad game, that you should have, 3 or 4 other players there to pick up the pieces.
Kind of like the Raptors are on the other side of the bracket.
Exactly. That's really all I have for this. And into the weekend, I'm excited for tonight's game. I'm excited for all the games this weekend, especially excited for this Clippers-Warriors tonight. I think it's going to be a great game. I think the energy is going to be intense. Pat Bev, Mr. I take a charge while holding my shoe. I think he's going to have another big game. Montrez, Lou Will. I'm all in on the Clippers tonight. Clippers are going to win tonight. Game 7, Sunday.
I think I'm going to go out on a little bit of a limb. This is going to be the first time Kevin Durant and Steph go for dual 40s.
Ooh, that's a good prediction. It's a good prediction.
I see them winning by 20 because I see Steph seeing what Durant did last game. Is like, okay, I need to be a little bit better. He's going to come out. Steph's having either a 20-point first or a 20-point third.
Okay.
I don't know which one is going to be a 20-point first or third, and Kevin Durant's just going to be the guy. You're not going to notice Kevin Durant's 40. You're going to notice Curry's 40. Kevin Durant's is just going to come off a little pull-up jumper here, 3 here, some foul shots here.
I don't know if it's going to be sneak 40.
Well, not like a sneak 40, but it's not going to be the more vibrant 40, if you know what I mean. Like, Curry's is going to be more in your face, and Kevin Durant's is going to be like, wow, Kevin Durant's playing very well 40, if you know what I mean. Because he's that kind of talented to do that.
Got you. Lastly, I just want to add before we depart and we dig into these blessed wings.
Shout out Hoagies.
Keeping the buffalo wings right. And barbecue. I digress. Last thing I want to say. I've gotten feedback that you feel like me and Keenan might agree, from the listeners, that me and Keenan might agree a little too much in this podcast. And if you listen to this podcast, we agreed on a lot. Let me tell you, that is not usually the case. Wouldn't you say, Keenan? We have some pretty healthy, normal debates. We kind of look for it, honestly, when
we debate. We probably have 1 to 2 debates-ish a week because we talk about basketball so much. And obviously, you're not going to see eye to eye with everything. Just we do have some of similar basketball opinions, but we do argue and debate or whatnot.
So, listeners, what we need from y'all: comment on YouTube, comment on Instagram, DM us on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. Send us your thoughts, send us your ideas. Send us your takes, and Keenan and I will discuss them. Email us questions, DM us questions. We will get to them. Promise you that. We might have a mailbag show around the corner. Just in the middle of the playoffs. We don't really have time for that right now. As the playoffs grow and there's more space in between games, we might be able to work with a few more ideas, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. We'll definitely be using more of your guys' comments and everything that we're going to do, because debates will happen.
Yeah. Debates naturally will happen.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Keenan, hit them with their socials.
I want to say like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us at Warner Bros Pod on Twitter. Follow us at Warner Brothers Podcast with an A on Instagram. Like us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook at The Warner Brothers Podcast. And you can find us on YouTube at The Warner Brothers Podcast.
For sure. All right. Listeners, enjoy the game. Like Keenan said, like, subscribe. Send us your comments. Send us your thoughts. All that. Have a good weekend. Be safe. We're out.